Monday's child is fair of face, Tuesday's child is full of grace, Wednesday's child is full of woe, Thursday's child has far to go. Friday's child is loving and giving, Saturday's child works for its living, and a child that's born on the Sabbath day is fair and wise and good and gay. Welcome to today's podcast. So, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you will not be seeing anything beyond the image that is being shown now. So, you might just as well, I don't know, do your chores, walk around with your headphones on. There is nothing to see because what I'm going to do today is I'm going to visit a file called The Solo Thursday's Child. This is the solo version of Free League's Vaesen. Now, those of you who have been following our channel for a good while will know that we did play Vaesen way back when, I want to say in 2020, after we had all backed the Kickstarter and we had all been really excited about it, and the experience was really bad. I did a very long review of the actual Vaesen rule book, core rules, and I stand by what I said then. The system doesn't hold up. Back then I said there's also no reason to come up with a new system. You could play all of these stories using the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game rules, or, modified Delta Green or whatnot. Way back then, I didn't realize that Free League was using their own system, the Year Zero system, which they've also been using in games like Coriolis, Alien, Mutant Year Zero, Tales from the Flood, Tales from the Loop. So this is basically always the same system using D6s. You can also use step dice, but mostly they're using and recommending D6s to be used. And anyone who's ever played this system, and I know several people who have, somebody who played Coriolis and actually hated it, not because of Coriolis as the story and backdrop, which they really liked, but because of the dice rolling. And I mean, we had Vaesen, and we use the D6 rules that are in the book, and they are just terrible. And I was watching an extended playthrough of different Vaesen stories the other day on a Theatre of the Mind players, and the games that they played were brilliant, but I really felt for them. I mean, there was one time when I think it was Tawny P. Thompson and her character Stabi Sundhage, I believe. She had 9 dice, a dice pool of 9 dice, and she didn't roll a single success. Now, 1 6 is a success, and usually you only need like 1 success for whatever it is that you're rolling for to be successful. Then she pushed the roll, which means she had to take a condition, which then means on subsequent rolls, not for this particular skill check, but for subsequent skill checks, you're down 1 from your dice pool. And she rolled another set of 9 dice, and again, she failed. And this is really heartbreaking. And it also means that in our case, for example, we sometimes ended up rolling just 1 die. Because we had been pushing rolls, we had been taking conditions, and it was terrible. Now, at the same time, I have been watching an extended, and I really mean an extended and extensive Alien campaign based on the Free League Alien role-playing game, where they use the Alien way of doing things where you have stress dice. So how this works is when you push a roll, you add a die, and this die is called a stress die, and it's got a different color as well. So if you buy the Alien role-playing basic box or beginner's box, whatever you want to call it, it comes with a set of dice. So you've got the, I don't know, 2, 4, 5, 10 black dice, which are the normal dice, and then 10 stress dice. And the way it works there is that you basically, when you push a roll, you always have to justify how you push a roll. You can't just say, oh, I push it, and I think that makes sense. What are you doing differently? How is what you're doing now different from what you did before? And then in the Alien game, what you do is you add a stress die for every time you push a roll, and this die stays with you until your stress is mitigated, and there are rules in the game for how this happens and how this works. So what this does is, first of all, you then get to re-roll all of your dice plus the stress die or stress dice if you've inherited stress dice from previous rolls that you've pushed. But adding 1d6 means you're increasing your chance of success by 1/6 because you have one additional die, and of course the chance of rolling a 6 on a 6-sided fair die, mind you, is 1/6. So let's say you had, in Tawny's case, she rolled 9 dice. If she had been playing Alien, she would have gotten a 10th die and she would have re-rolled. Again, of course, it doesn't mean that you will be getting a success, but chances are are 1/6 higher that you are getting a success because you add one more die to your dice pool. However, if you roll a 1 on the stress die, things go badly. In the Alien game, you then have to make a panic check, which works really well. And it also adds to the whole stressfulness of the situation. Now, of course, you can say that Alien is different from Vaesen in that it is based around panic, it's based around stress and stuff. That's the nature of the horror there. Whereas, of course, Vaesen is a lot more slow burning, but it can be quite stressful as well. So I'm going to use the Solo Thursday's Child rules for Vaesen, but I'm going to use the die rolling system of Alien. So now and this is actually, I don't know if this is for free or if this is, if you have to buy these, I have no idea because I got the PDF from someone. So to read the rules, these rules allow you to play Vaesen on your own. They can also be used to play together with one or more friends without a GM. Normally, Vaesen is played with a ready-made mystery that establishes the truth which the players will strive to uncover. In solo play, some of the charm is lost if you already know what you're looking for. Instead, a system is used where you gradually discover what kind of Vaesen is behind the misdeed. To play solo, you need the Vaesen core rulebook, which I have in front of me, a standard deck of playing cards. I've got so basically that's a 52 card deck. I'm actually using a Zen to Chihiro. Yeah, it's the normal 52, so basically, yeah. And pen and paper. So first of all, what we're going to do is, because I do want to play this like also like you would a normal game. So we're going to create a character first. I still maintain that like you didn't really need a different system. I mean, these would have worked just as well if they had been released for the Gumshoe. But of course, I understand that Free League having their own system, of course, they want to push their own system. Although it's, of all of the systems I've played, one of the worst ones. Regardless of the die pool mechanic, it's just, it has a lot of disadvantages more than it has advantages. I will say one thing about it, and that is Vaesen specific. It does occur in Alien as well, and I believe in Coriolis, that you actually get to upgrade your base. So it's your ship in Coriolis or Alien, and it is your, if you play the story as laid out in the rulebook, it's Castle Gyllenkreutz, in Uppsala, in Sweden, where you then basically give experience points to the building, and you can trade those in to upgrade your building, which I really like. So this is one of the things that I really, really love about it. Unfortunately, when we were playing, so many things were going badly that we never got to playing a second adventure. So we didn't level up our characters and we didn't level up our residents. So that might have basically maybe redeemed the system in my eyes way back when, because this whole idea of having a base, first of all, and upgrading it, first of all, speaks to me as a person. Growing up, my mother was always afraid that she wouldn't be able to afford the rent anymore, because she was only a part-time worker, because she couldn't go up to full time. And and she was also bringing me up on her own, so money was always tight, and this was one of the things that she was always afraid of, not being able to afford a roof of our heads and us having to move somewhere else. So this was something that has been ingrained in me ever since I can remember. This was one of the things that was present at all turns of our lives. And so for me, this idea of having a home and having this for me, and being able to like use it as a fortress. My home is my literal castle. My home is my fortress. Nobody shall enter, that kind of thing. But then also kind of upgrading it and fortifying it, because that's what you're doing. You are making it better, a better base for your group. That really speaks to me as a person. And I think the way they do it in the book is also very atmospheric. And I really like it. So, for example, there is a butterfly garden that you can have, which helps you ease conditions like mental fatigue, mental problems, improve your mental health by just sitting outside in the sun. I don't know how sunny Uppsala gets, and I know that in winter it's probably going to be very dark for very prolonged periods of time. But the idea that you're sitting there and that you're being surrounded by these fluttering, beautiful fey-like creatures that are butterflies, and that this is soothing to the mind. I mean, to me, that makes perfect sense, and it really speaks to me. So we're going to create a character first. I've got a character sheet printed out. I remember, I want to say that I didn't play the doctor. I might have played the academic. I'm not sure. Let me check. Hunter, occultist, officer, priest, servant, private detective, vagabond, writer. I will tell you what, considering that I really loved the playthrough that the Theatre of the Mind players were doing, and I absolutely loved every single character, but I especially loved Tawny's character, who was playing a writer. I'm not going to go for the writer either. I am going to go for the occultist. And the occultist is described as follows. I had to know the truth. How did I acquire the power of foresight, and how could I make men collapse in pain just by imagining their beating hearts? When I was young and moved to the city, my mother stayed behind in Longaboo. She lived alone with 2 goats and a pig, which she oddly enough had named after my late father. Mother didn't like to talk about these things. She kept coming back to the same 2 sentences. Your cradle. I woke up and looked in your cradle. Eventually, I lost my patience. I threatened her with a fireplace poker, claiming that I could turn her into a wart on my cheek. Then she told me I was swapped for another. Okay, so first of all, we get to choose a name. We're gonna play a lady, and we're gonna go with the name Ulrika. That's our first name, so that's Ulrika. And the last name is Mörk. No, we're not gonna go with Mörk. We're gonna go with Lindberg. We are in the age group of... Okay, first of all, we have to choose a motivation. Understanding myself, learning about Vaesen, or power. I believe our motivation will be power. I see myself as having been trodden down by life, and I want power. I want power over other people because other people were keeping me down. My trauma is that I was attacked by a night raven who infected me with a febrile disease. Attacked and infected by night raven. My dark secret is that my powers control me. We're not going to go into relationships because we're playing on our own. My archetype is occultist, and we are 40 years old. Okay, so that's that. Bop. We are middle-aged, so we have 14 attribute points and 12 skill points. Okay, there are 4 attributes: physique, precision, logic, and empathy. Physique is a measure of how big and strong we are. It's the ability to take and deliver a beating. It determines things like how long you can go without food or rest and how easily you can lift a fallen tree trunk. Precision is a measure of your coordination and motor skills. Logic is your intellectual capacity, which you use to solve problems. Logic also measures how well educated you are and can help you tackle certain scary situations. Empathy represents your ability to understand other people and to persuade, charm, or trick them. Empathy can also help you tackle certain scary situations. So you can have the minimum value is 2 and the maximum is 4, except for the main attribute of your chosen archetype, which has a maximum value of 5. Let's see what the main one would be. We are an occultist, and our main attribute is precision. That's interesting. It's our coordination and motor skills. I wonder why. Because precision is used in medicine, ranged combat, stealth. I'm actually not seeing this. Okay, so, okay, we're going to go with, we have how many points in total? Attribute points 14. Okay, so we're gonna, and we have 12. So we could go for 333, which would mean we have, because I would also go with, I think physique is the lowest one at 2. Let's give me some scrap paper. It's a good thing I'm sitting at my desk. So 14. So if we put 2 in physique, it leaves us with 12. We're going to put 5 in precision because that's what they suggest. I would say logic. I mean, she's not learned, so I would say 3, which leaves us with 4. And I would say this goes into empathy because empathy is inspiration, manipulation, observation, because I think this is something that an occultist would have. So yeah, we're going to go with 2 in physique, 5 in precision, 3 in logic, and 4 in empathy. So let's add this up. That's 14 in total. Resources, we're gonna go with 3. That's the middle. Physical. Okay, so now we've got the skills. Agility. So we have how many skill points? Let me just check. We have 12 skill points. So that's 12. You may spend a number of points determined by your age. At the start of the game, you cannot have more than 2 in any skill except for the main skill of your chosen archetype, which in our case is stealth. Okay, so if it wants us to be stealthy, then we're gonna do 3 in stealth, which I find really odd. See, this is where I kind of am already falling out of love with the system again, because as an occultist, stealth isn't really like, I mean, this is a game of the occult, but you only have learning, vigilance, and investigation as logic. And as an occultist, you may not necessarily be learned depending on what your background is. So for me, stealth is actually completely not what she needs at all. At the start of the game, you cannot have more than 2 in any skill. So we have now spent 3 in stealth because, yeah, why not? So we now have 9 left. So I want her to have 2 in investigation, 2 in learning, 2 in vigilance, 2 in vigilance, 2 in inspiration. So that's 5, 7, 9, 11. Okay, so we're gonna put 1 in manipulation, and we're gonna put stealth down to 2, and we're gonna put 1 in observation, so she has nothing in the other ones. Okay. Okay, so talents. Talents are described in chapter 4. Your archetype offers 3 starting talents, does it? And if so, what are they? Magic tricks, medium, striking, fear. You can use stealth instead of manipulation when performing conjuring tricks to influence people. Medium, you can use observation. Yeah, like, that's like, okay, we're gonna go with conjuring tricks. I wonder what those tricks are. Okay, so that's that. Bub, 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 bub. Okay, dark secret. Oh, we've already got that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we need to roll for mementos. We roll a 66 die, so this means you roll 2d6s and you just read them from left to right where they fall. So that's a 16, and that is a book in a foreign language. Okay. So not Swedish. Okay. Okay, so now we've got a character. And now we can take a look, I believe, at the actual solo rules to see how all of this works. And in case you want to play this as well, I can recommend going to Spotify, because that's where you can get the original Vaesen soundtrack, which I am listening to at the moment. So we need to journal, of course. This is how this works. So it's a little bit like English Eerie that you can also find on my channel. In solo play, time is an important factor. Over the course of your character's day, you will therefore make time-marked entries in your journal. You will also use a so-called oracle to receive answers to whatever questions you might have. The oracle is a game mechanic and used to generate different results that would otherwise be determined by a game master. When consulting the oracle, you draw a card, sometimes two, from the deck. A red card indicates a positive effect, while a black card means something negative. The oracle can also help you create details using the cards drawn. To determine the effect, see the denomination of the card in the table you are using. The most common way to get an answer to a question in solo play is to draw a standard playing card. A red card means yes, and a black card means no. For a more nuanced answer, look at the denomination of the card in the helpful or not table. If yes or no is a sufficient answer to your question, you can immediately start acting on the result. If the answer to the question, do you know anything about what happened in the village, is yes, it is a good time to ask follow-up questions such as, do you know who is involved? If the answer is once again yes, think about what the person might know. What kind of insight does the person have into the incident? Is the person lying to you? Here you can use the helpful or not table and compare the result with the NPC's attitude towards you to create a context for your answer. However, if the answer is no, you need to fulfill a requirement. Perhaps the question is too vague or doesn't fit the current mystery. Maybe the person doesn't even want to help you. Ask the question again and draw a new card or make a manipulation test to force the NPC to help you. But consider the consequences of forcing an answer. If forced, NPCs may not want to help you in the future. So we have the helpful or not oracle table here. A red card is always good. A black card is bad. Or it is dangerous. So, and if you draw a 2 or a 4, and it's a black card, then it's neutral but dangerous. It is neutral, 5 to 7, somewhat dangerous, 8 to 10, dangerous, jack, very dangerous, and ace, lethal, as well as the king. So now we need to look at creating a mystery. Any mystery has a beginning, a middle, and a confrontation. To create your mystery, use the tables on pages 188 to 180 to 192 of the Vaesen core rulebook. Let's take a look. Okay, so basically, let's see. Roll once on the interest. Okay, so first of all, start by rolling up a random invitation. Okay. A d6. It's a 3, a telegraph message. So we're going to write this down in our journal. So we receive a telegraph message. The quest giver is 32, a local priest. The misdeed is a 65, which is an inexplicable weather phenomenon. Okay. Okay, that's already kind of like, you know, I could write a story about this. Not even a very short one either. Roll once on the interesting location table, 192. Okay, that's a 65. That's a lake, stream, or sea. Okay, so it's either in the countryside or in the city. So since this is a weather phenomenon, I would say it's because 65 gives me hospital. I'm not seeing an interesting weather phenomenon happening in a hospital. So I would go with the great outdoors. So it's either a lake or a stream or the sea. We're going to go with lake. Perfect. Okay. Really liking this. Ba 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 ba. The next step is to travel to the location. Then the mystery begins in earnest. You can create NPCs using the guidelines pages on pages 166 to 168. Okay, so basically they also have a list on page 5 of these rules. Okay, so we have a okay, let me just check. They say bop, 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 bop. One 166 to 168. Okay. And 214 to 229. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is if you want to. Okay. Okay, so we will stick with whatever we find on pages. There are no pages here. 166 and 167. Okay, good. So we are going to start with a journal entry. So today is the 5th of July, 1898. Dear Diary, today I received a telegram. I can't recall the last time someone sent me a telegram. Probably not since Mother died from an unexplained fall off a cliff. Too bad I wasn't here when the message arrived. But today I was. Let me just check if we can find something like Vaesen names for NPCs on the web. Vaesen character names, perchance generator. Okay, here we are. Arvid Berge. Axel Lindquist. Axel Lindquist. That's a really very nice name. Could work for ABBA. Okay, so the message is from a certain Axel Lindquist. He's a parish priest in, okay, I believe that there is a map in this book of I thought that there were two maps in here, one of Uppsala and one of Sweden. Am I wrong? Here is Uppsala. Okay. We want, here, the Mythic North. Oh, God. There is no way I can read this map, even with my reading glasses. Whoever wrote this map should be shot. Seriously, guys, what were you thinking? Okay, let's see. Vaesen map. Okay, here we are. That's a lot better. Yeah, can we make this bigger? There really isn't an image that I could get. I mean, guys, seriously? Oh, God. Okay. This map is terrible. Like, really? Okay. I can't make this out. Not even when I have to, when I'm online and increasing. I mean, seriously, whoever created this map should really be shot. It's nice to make it look old, but if it is so badly drawn that it doesn't even work as a map where you can read stuff, then that's not what this is. This is terrible. Okay, map Sweden, 19th century. Okay, here we go. Okay, if in doubt, go with Wikipedia. And here we have a lovely map that we can actually read. Okay, so we need a lake. There is a lake called Sihan Lake. And it is near... Is it... No, we're going to go with Frosun. We're going to go with... Okay, this is Norway. I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, so... Okay, not all of these have names. Okay, so we're going to go to a place called Hudvigsvald. And there is a lake. The lake itself doesn't have a name on this particular map, but it doesn't matter. It's got a lake, which is fairly sizable. Okay, so he's a parish priest in Hudvigsvald. He has asked for my help because he knows I can do things. I can see things other people can't. I will be leaving tomorrow on the first train. So that is the first thing that I'm going to write down. So now, so now we need to look into how to create a mystery. Normally, I should now be drawing a card. When interacting with NPCs and items in a scene, you should have an idea of how long things take. In the journal above, so they have a journal entry, it took the characters 4 hours from the invitation to the beginning of the journey. And I would say that what we're going to do now is we are going to try and investigate. So what we're going to do is we are going to roll on, we're going to do an investigation check. That would be logic. So we roll 5 dice to find out if we know anything about Hudvigswald and if we can find out anything about the lake. Or only about Hudvigswald, because obviously we don't know that it's a lake yet. We will find out when we get there. Or do we know? Oh, yes. Yeah, we know this. He has said that suddenly all the water drained from the lake and then rushed back and flooded the whole forest around it. Several people drowned in the event. By saying it like this, it's clear that we're dealing with some kind of water-based Vaesen in the event. So we're going to now deviate from how they do it. What we're going to do is we're going to do an investigate check, and we're going to check for Vaesen that have something to do with water. And we have 1/6, which is enough because it means we have a success. So let's see if we can actually find something on the web about Vaesen in the water. Bop, 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 bop. Okay. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, let's see. We're going to go with we find a glass stick. So we have done, so we come across a glass stick. A glass stick is a lake or water dwelling creature. We're just going to paraphrase because it says here that they live near water. So we're going to say they live in water and they appear as a beautiful woman. A water dwelling creature that looks like a woman. A beautiful one too, that looks like a beautiful woman. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to see, do we find out anything about the glass stick? So can we do some form of research that allows us to learn enough that we know how to fight the Vaesen, or how to, you know, we'll see. Bop, 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 bop. Question is, where is the glass tig from? It's not in the core book, so let's look for glass tig Vaesen. Okay, so that's what she looks like. Okay. That's nice. I know what she looks like, but I don't know what she does. Oh, she's in Mythic Britain and Ireland. Okay, I only have that as a PDF, so let's call this up. And now I'm actually deviating from the way they're doing this, but I think it does make sense because she would try and find out stuff about this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do one more investigation roll to see if we find out anything about its ritual. And we rolled another 6, so we do. But since we only rolled one thing, we will only know one thing about them. And we know that they will flee from the cross. I have learned from my research that they flee from the cross. But I don't want her to flee. I want her to give me power. So I will try and catch her instead of kill her. So I will try and catch her instead of kill her. Okay, so now we have finished our first entry, and now we are supposed to draw a card. So I'm going to shuffle one more time. After making a journal entry, or when you do not know how to proceed in the mystery, it is time to use the oracle. Draw a card and check the table below. So we draw a card. The top card is a black card, which is not, and it's a queen as well. Oh my word. So it's a black queen. A discovery frightens you. Make a fear test with fear 1. Okay, so that, I mean, okay. Yes, we want power, but of course we are dealing with a supernatural being. So let's make a fear test. I have no idea how this works, so we're going to consult the book. Fear test. How do you do a fear test? When encountering Vaesen, being exposed to magic or feeling scared or stressed as a result of seeing something horrible, we didn't see anything, but we learned something really horrible, and become terrified. You must pass a fear test. Choose whether to tackle the situation with logic or empathy. We are going to use empathy, obviously. The attribute value indicates how many dice you may roll. Add an additional die equal to the number of player characters present in the scene, maximum plus 3 dice. Player characters who are broken or already terrified do not count. Okay, so I'm playing on my own, so yeah, I have no one to talk to about this. I'm like, you know, sitting there in my little cabin in the woods. Well, not really, I live in a city, but still. And I rolled I didn't succeed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a stress die, and I'm going to push the roll because I do not want to be frightened. I'm kind of like, you know, you can do this. You want the power. So basically I'm going to pull out my power card and say, yes, this may be really frightening because, you know, I believe that this is a glass stick that we're seeing here, and they are really dangerous, but you know. And I did succeed, and I didn't roll a 1 on my stress die, but I have to remember that I now have 1 stress die, and I did succeed, so I'm not frightened, which is good. So plus 1 stress die, but not frightened. And then we will take it to the next day, which would be the 6th of July, 1889. And we're going to take the train, taking the train. And this is where we shall leave it for today, because at least for this session, because not only did we create a character, we also got started on the mystery. But yeah, I'm going to put this out there, and hopefully you will find this interesting. I can see already, first of all, I would like to use the stress die because, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to say I'm trying to avoid getting a condition by giving myself another condition. There is no point in actually doing this. So the stress dice mechanic is a much better mechanic. I can see this already. Let me just panic rules alien RPG. And my stress level is at the moment 1 because I added a stress die. I pushed a skill roll. Okay. So, yeah. So we're going to take this. And we're going to print this off because we're going to use it. So essentially what this means is if I had rolled, or if I roll a 1 on my stress die, or if I accumulate more over the course of the game, I will have to do a stress test. And a stress test is you roll a d6 plus the stress level. And the stress level is a number which counts up. So every time you push a skill roll, you add a 1. So at the moment, we pushed 1 skill roll, so our stress level is 1. If we go without sleep, food, or water, a scientist in our team fails to analyze something. Okay, that's very alien related, but one could even use this in Vaesen. A member of your own crew attacks you. Okay, if they have like a person nearby is revealed to be an android, that's not a problem. But for example, somebody reveals a dark secret. I can totally see these working for, if you just adjust them slightly, they would perfectly work in Vaesen. So basically, at the moment, if I rolled a 1 on my stress die, I would be panicking, or I would have to check if I'm panicking. I roll another d6 and I roll a 3, and I add this to my stress level, so which would bring us to a 4. And on a 1 to 6, I'm fine. I resolve any action normally. On a 7 to 9, I resolve the action, but then panic. And panicking is something where I would do something else, where I really need to check what I would do, and I might actually roll on a table for this. What happens when I panic? You know, I might run away, I might freeze, I might attack. So if I panic when I see the glass stick, for example, I might actually attack it instead of trying to, you know, like be sneaky and be kind of like manipulative and try to get its power. And of course, attacking it could have dire consequences because it's probably not going to take this lying down, but it's going to attack me back. So I can totally see how this would work. So I would actually say I would leave what I do up to the oracle and draw a card. So I can already see how this would work in solo play, and I hope you'll join me the next time when we're trying to come to terms with whatever happened in this area and try and get this glass stick to give up some of the secrets. So talk to you soon, and bye-bye.